Guys, pretty good day on prize picks yesterday. You can see we had two 4 for 5s right here. So these are prize picks 5 flexes. So when we go 4 for 5, we get a 2x payout. And then we capped it off with a 5 for 5 here, which is the 10x payout. So pretty good day on prize picks. You can see all 5 of these picks hit. And it looks like it was all overs except for this play on Josh Okogie of the Suns. But anyways, I have 5 more picks for today. And I say it all the time, we'll go through the math maybe a bit later in this video, but you have to be placing 5 flexes, right? 5 or 6 flex plays are what is mathematically optimal on prize picks. And I know it's not intuitive at first, but you're going to see all the plays I'm giving out on prize picks are going to be 5 and 6 pick flexes because those are mathematically optimal. My ROI on prize picks, right? It comes from playing 5 and 6 pick flexes. There's no debate here, right? It's literally just math. If you break down the payouts, right? If you go to prize picks and you break down the payouts of a 2 pick power play, and then you compare that to a 5 pick flex and what percentage of your picks you need to win to break even, you're going to notice that the 5 and the 6 flex are optimal. So let's put some numbers to that. What do I mean by that? If you're winning 56% of your picks on prize picks, in other words, any pick I select in a 2 pick power play, if I'm winning 56% of my plays, if I'm playing 2 pick power plays, my ROI is negative 5.92%, negative 6% for hitting 56% of my picks, right? 56% of my over-unders I'm hitting in my ROI on 2 pick power plays is negative 6%. Now, if I go over to a 6 flex, if I'm hitting 56%, my ROI is 17.6%. Positive 17.6%. So you got to be placing 5 or 6 flexes. The difference really is that big between 2 pick power plays and 6 pick flexes. And I'll put this sheet in the description kind of breaking down all the math. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to look at is the odds jam screen. So this is called the screen, and you can look at any market. So right now we're looking at NHL shot on goal, but you can look at any market in the NHL, as well as any sport. And basically the way I use this screen is as a way to compare where are sportsbooks setting the line versus prize picks, right? And the screen is obviously useful if you're playing on underdog, no house advantage. I mean, literally any other platforms, FanDuel. It literally just shows you the whole market, right? It shows you price data or odds, right? Odds are just prices. So the screen just shows you where every book is setting the line and what odds they have. So what you're going to notice here is for prize picks and underdog, they both have Philip Kurashev's line at 2 shots on goal, right? You can see that right here. FanDuel and all the sports books have the line at 1.5 with about minus 140 juice towards the over. So the jump from 1.5 to 2 is really big, right? Like that's like a 33% increase, right? Just think about it. We're not talking about going from 220 to 220 half in an NBA game where half a point isn't that impactful. We're talking about 1.5 shots on goal to 2. Like that is a massive jump, right? Like if you think about a baseball game, 6.5 versus 7.5 runs is a big deal, right? That's a pretty big jump in the odds compared to 221.5 and 222.5 points in an NBA game. So as the distribution, as you get to lower numbers like player shot on goal markets, these jumps are a really big deal, right? So what I mean by that is I ended up taking Kurashev under 2 on prize picks, right? I took his under. And I also think this play is good on underdog. So I know in a 5 flex, I'm getting his under 2 shots on goal at minus 119 odds, or a 6 flex, minus 119 odds. And I know all the sports books have the line at 1.5. So there's dozens of real-time price data points, dozens of sports books, all saying, hey, Kurashev's line should be set at 1.5 with slight juice towards the over, but minus 150, minus 140 is not that much juice, especially for a 2 versus a 1.5 point jump. So all the books are at 1.5. Prize picks is at 2, so we want to take the under on prize picks, right? We want to take the under. Prize picks and underdog are too high versus every other real-time price data point, every other sports book. So we want to take the under 2, right? And again, these jumps are impactful. If you look at his past 5 games, Kurashev has had 2 shots on goal in 3 of his last 5 games, right? So what this means is if we were to take his under 2, we would have won on Saturday, right? We would have won on, March 4th. So we would have won 2 out of the past 5 games, and we would have pushed the other 3, right? We would have tied, and our 6 flex becomes a 5 flex, right? If you push a leg, so if Kurashev has exactly 2 shots on goal, if this guy has exactly 2 shots on goal today, we're going to push on PrizePicks. So we're going to push on PrizePicks, right? And then our 6 flex is going to become a 5 flex. So long story short, these jumps are really impactful, right? If we had taken him under 1.5 shots on goal in a sports book, all 3 of these games would have lost. 3 out of his last 5 games would have lost, right? He lands on exactly 2 shots on goal a large percentage of the time. So you can't ignore these jumps from 1.5 to 2, right? They're very noticeable in terms of the odds. So, you may be like, okay, but what about this one on TJ Oshie? Why don't we like the under here? Well, here, right, we saw in the Kurashev example, sportsbooks only had the over juice to like minus 140, minus 145, minus 150, minus 130-ish. Here, TJ Oshie, the sportsbooks have the over 1.5 as a 2-to-1 favorite, minus 200. So now the sportsbooks are saying, yo, the over 1.5 is very, very likely. It's a 2-to-1 favorite, right? So getting the under 2 on underdog, it doesn't seem as good, right? Like you want to see this juice on the sportsbooks around like minus 130, minus 140 if you're taking the under for half of a shot on goal higher, right? So you want, when it's all the way juiced up to like minus 190, minus 200, well, that basically means, sportsbooks, they don't offer round numbers. So long story short, you use this screen, and you can feel free to email me any questions, but you use this screen to compare, okay, where do sportsbooks have the line set at different levels, right? So here's another play that I liked. Artemi Panarin, over 2 on PrizePicks. All the books have him at 2.5 shots on goal. PrizePicks is at 2. All the books are at 2.5. PrizePicks is a market inefficiency. They're too low. So we'd want to take the over, right? We would want to take the over on PrizePicks in this case. But anyways, let's move on. So that's the first play, some of the first plays I had. And again, Kurashev, 2 shots on goal. I've taken him under 2 in a lot of games, and we've ended up pushing some. We've ended up winning some. But again, like when a player's distribution is centered around 1.5, 2.5 shots on goal, like they're landing on 2 a big percentage of the time. So being able to get that edge, right, where we're going to push on PrizePicks when everyone who bets his under on a sportsbook is under 1.5 is going to lose, that's called finding an edge, right? That's finding an advantage, a leg up over the sportsbooks. So then, typically the tool I use most on OddsJam is the positive expected value tool. So with this tool, you can just kind of like put in the sportsbooks you use. So right now I just have PrizePicks selected. But what this tool does is it scans the market, so it goes into PrizePicks, as well as, FanDuel, all these sports books, and it pulls in all of the odds data, right, from across the entire market, right? You have dozens of sports books, hundreds of sports books. Why am I saying dozens? I mean, you have hundreds of sports books all setting lines on the exact same bets, right? Here we have, PrizePicks, so OddsJam's pulling in all the lines from PrizePicks, all the lines from FanDuel, MGM, all those books. And it's just showing you where the value is, right? So we know we're getting minus 119 in a flex play. And you can see here, all of the sports books are pricing this under as a heavy favorite around minus 140-ish. DraftKings is minus 150, right? So some books are a little more bullish, as I like to say, on the under, right? Some books are like, hey, this under should be more favored. So you can see DraftKings, they have the under more favored, more juice than FanDuel does, minus 150 versus minus 132. So essentially, what you can do, or you don't have to do this. I mean, the way to use the OddsJam EV tool is you literally just find 5 picks. So you can see 1, 2, 3, Mitchell under 4.5 assists, right? Jalen Williams under 4.5 rebounds. All sportsbooks have the under heavily juiced around minus 140. We're getting minus 119 in a 5 flex, pretty clear value. So play 1. Play 2, Jalen Williams, literally just following the data. And then tennis, right? It doesn't matter. The same concepts of finding value, finding an edge, the same market concepts, right? The same concepts for calculating your edge, no vig odds, all of this stuff applies to any sport. It doesn't matter what sport you're betting on. It's all about the data, right? Like here, we have dozens of sports books telling us the under for Williams, his under 4.5 rebounds should be heavily juiced, right? So getting minus 119 in a 5 or a 6 flex, as sharp bettors, we know we're getting minus 119 in a 6 flex. That's crazy value, right? And then it's the same thing for tennis. It's the same thing for this tennis under. We have dozens of books telling us this line should be about minus 140. We're getting minus 119, clear value, right? So here's what I mean when I say bullish, right? We have FanDuel, or what markets do we want to look at? We can do DraftKings versus BetRivers. So we have DraftKings who says, hey, this under should be priced at minus 150 and the over should be plus 110, right? That's DraftKings market. So they have a 40-cent spread, right? As you can see here, they have a 40-cent spread. That's the VIG, right? 110 to 150, that's 40-cent spread. So if you remove the VIG, you're going to see, hey, the fair odds is minus 126. Right? We're getting minus 119 in a flex play. So we're getting better odds than the fair odds or the no vig odds. So this no vig odds considers the entire market, right? This column, this no vig odds column, it considers Pinnacle, the sharpest bookmaker in the world, right? That gets the highest weighting. It considers Bet Online odds. It considers DraftKings odds, right? It considers the whole market. Every book is an independent data point telling you where the line should be set. So all data points should be considered. So DraftKings is saying, yo, this bet is hitting 55.75% of the time. So according to DraftKings, this play in a flex, or I should be going to a 6 flex, so 55.75. So in a 6 flex, this play has a 15% ROI. According to DraftKings, right? If it's winning 55.75% of the time, it's going to yield a flex ROI of 15%. And any questions you have, feel free to email me. But basically, what this calculator does is it just tells you the win probability for your bet, right? So what I mean by that is you can take a sportsbook's market and figure out what's the win probability. What win probability are they implying for the wager? So obviously, the under is favored on DraftKings, right? The under 22.5 total games is favored. It's minus 150. Right? The over is plus 110. The over is the underdog. So these are equal and opposite outcomes, right? Of course, the over or the under has to win. So basically, we know DraftKings is saying, hey, the under is more favored, so occurring over 50% of the time, but you can quantify that mathematically, right? If a team is, let's say, if a team is minus 200, so if we just put in plus 200, minus 200, if a team is minus 200, right, the sportsbook is saying they're a 2-to-1 favorite. They're 2/3 to win. 66.67% to win. Plus 300, minus 300 is a 75% favorite, a 3-to-1 favorite, right? Winning 3/4 of the time. So sportsbooks imply win probabilities through their odds. So basically, DraftKings is saying, hey, based on our market, based on pricing the under at minus 150, we think the under is 55.75% to occur. The over is 44.25%. Now, on BetRivers, they are more bullish on the under, right? They have the under juiced all the way to minus 157. So if we put in their market, now the under is 57.34% to occur. So the under is more likely to occur according to the model, right, on BetRivers Sportsbook. So if we put in 57.34%, damn. Now, according to BetRivers, according to the BetRivers model, this play in a 6 flex has a 32.4% ROI. Right? But again, you need to consider every data point, right? So what I do as a sharp bettor and what OddsJam does is it considers every data point, right? So this play looks great to DraftKings, WinBet, BetRivers. Like there's clear value to every sports book. So it's very clear that PrizePicks is off from the market or PrizePicks is a pricing discrepancy. They're screwing up, and that's a play we want to be on. And it's the same for Jalen Williams. Sure, the profit margin is slightly lower, but we need 5 or 6 picks. So what I ended up going with is right here, Khrushchev under 2 shots on goal, Jarvis under 2.5 shots on goal, Donovan Mitchell under 4.5 assists, Jalen Williams under 4.5 rebounds, Marketa Vondrosova under 22.5 games, so that's a 5 flex, and then here's the 6 flex, and you can see I just replaced the Khrushchev play with Andrew Mangapane over 2 shots on goal and Drake Batherson under 3. So a lot of picks for today to start off the day. Sharp picks, kind of found with OddsJam, either the positive expected value betting tool or the screen. Any questions you have about sharp sports betting, my email's in the description. The sheet breaking down and explaining to you why you should always be placing PrizePicks Flex, that's in the description as well. And let's make some money, guys.